Good morning to everyone. Today we are going to learn about the first law of thermodynamics. Though we have started the first law of thermodynamics in last class, we will just review it because today we may have some new students. So, we will start from the first law of thermodynamics, but I will go little bit simply, just not going to discuss very detail because we have something more. So, just I will try to make you understand, and then we will learn some special forms of first law of thermodynamics. We have different conditions. So, if we follow or if we restrict in some conditions, then we can make the form of thermodynamic first law of thermodynamics in different category or different expression. Then we will learn some mathematical problems based on the first law. Then we will learn two very simple topics, a specific heat capacity and molar heat capacity. I think both of these topics are very familiar with you, so it will take very short time. However, start from the first law of thermodynamics. So, what is the first law of thermodynamics? That is very similar to the law of conservation of energy. You are familiar with the word or sentence that energy cannot be created or cannot be destroyed, it can transfer from one form to another. So, if we consider for an isolated system, what does it mean, the isolated system? Isolated system is a system where the energy or matter, nothing cannot transfer from the system to the surroundings. So, if we consider this is a system, this is a system that can be considered, this is a closed container, this is closed container or isolated container. So, isolated container, and this is a frictionless piston, and there is some gas, expandable gas. So, if you put some heat to the system or to the gas, in that case the gas can expand. So, if you put some energy or if you give some energy from outside, what will happen? The pressure of the gas will increase. So, it will try to increase the volume, and volume can, let us consider this is our initial position and this is the final position. So, we have increased the volume little bit. So, if we think the system is isothermal, what does it mean isothermal? Isothermal means when you are giving some heat, so it should increase the temperature, but we will not allow to increase the temperature, just we will allow to expand the volume, so that the temperature remains same and pressure may remain same or increase or decrease, whatever, does not matter, just we will keep the system isothermal. So, now if we consider the system a isolated system, in that case the energy, how much energy we are supplying, so that much energy will be converted into the increase in the internal energy and the work done due to change the volume or expansion of the gas. So, that is the statement of first law of thermodynamics. We can express the statement or we can express the first law of thermodynamics in different categories or different forms. So, first I have mentioned one, that is the exactly whatever I have mentioned about the energy conservation law or conservation law of energy, that is we cannot create energy or we cannot destroy energy, we can transfer, or the total amount of energy in the universe is constant. So, it can transfer from one form to another, you cannot create or you cannot destroy, just it will transfer from one form to another. So, here we are supplying some energy as heat. So, that heat just transfer in two different forms of energy. What form of energy? The increase in the internal energy and the work done by the expansion of energy, expansion of volume. So the total energy of the what you have supplied, the total energy Q equal the internal energy and plus the expansion of the energy required to expand the volume. So now we can state in another form, the total energy of an isolated system remains constant, though it may change from one form to another. Already mentioned that if we supply some energy, that energy will convert in two form. Here in case of isolated system, the increase in internal energy plus the energy work done for the expansion of the volume. When a system is changed from a state A to a state B, it undergoes a change in the internal energy from EA to EB. So if we consider this was initial position, so it had some energy, internal energy, and if we expand the volume or expand the gas, then the volume comes to this point. This is the final position. So that time also we will have some internal energy. So thus we can write down the energy of this position is EA and energy of final position is EB. So delta E or the change in internal energy will be EB minus EA, that means initial energy, final energy minus initial energy. Okay. This energy change is brought about by the evolution or absorption of heat and or by work being done by the system, because the total energy of the system must remain constant. We can write the mathematical statement of first law as delta E equal Q minus W. Just what I have mentioned in another form, just I have mentioned that the total internal energy what we have given, so energy supplied, this is the energy supplied is equal to the increase in the internal energy, that would be the delta E. So here this is the delta E and this is the total the energy supplied. Energy supplied equal, if we put this W in the left side, or if we keep the Q in the left side and delta E in the right side, then we can get that total Q or total energy what we have supplied is equal to the delta E plus W, or in another form, what is the increase in the internal energy is just the difference between the internal energy supplied and the work done due to expansion. So because the total energy of the system must remain constant, we can write the mathematical statement of the first law as delta E equal Q minus W. So where Q is the amount of heat supplied, so how much energy we have supplied, it will distribute in two different forms, increase in the internal energy and work done due to the expansion. Okay. Thus the first law can be, we can say like this way, the net energy change of an isolated system is equal to the heat transferred to the system minus the work done by the system. So here we have expanded, and in last class I have mentioned the sign of the work and also sign of the energy. So here the work is done by the system, because the due to increase the heat, so the volume is expanding, so some work is done by the system. So we are using the sign negative. So when we have mentioned for the sign of the work is, if the work is done by the system, then we will consider that is negative, and if the work is done on the system, if work is done on the system, then we will consider the internal energy increase, therefore the that sign would be positive and the work will be positive. So here the volume is expanding, therefore the work is done by the system, and we will consider the sign of the work is negative. So thus the net energy change of an isolated system is equal to the heat transferred to the system minus the work done by the system. Okay. So we can, in last class some of you wanted to see, let us consider the system expanding hot gas. What I have shown here, that this is our initial volume of the gas. Now if you increase the internal energy from the outside, or if you supply some energy, in that case the volume will be expanded. So this, if it is a hot gas, then the volume can be expanded. So let us consider the system expanding hot gas. The gas expands against an applied constant pressure by the volume delta V. So if you want to increase the volume up to this amount delta V, if you want to increase this mass volume, so you must need to perform some work against the increase of the volume. So normally it was initial volume this mass, so here it has some pressure. So if there is a frictionless piston, so if you want to increase the volume and want to fix at this position, final position, so in that case if you want to keep the piston at this position fixed, then you must need to apply some pressure on the piston, otherwise the piston will go out of the system, or it will not fix the volume. Therefore what you need to do, you need to apply some pressure on the piston. So that is the actual, the pressure is how much pressure is inside pressure and outside pressure would be same. Otherwise if one side pressure is more, the piston will go opposite to that. So if the pressure of outside is more, in that case the volume will be decreased, or if the pressure of the inside of the system is higher, then the piston will go out. So if you want to fix the piston, then in that case you need to apply some pressure on the piston exactly equal to the inside of the pressure. So the gas expands against an applied constant pressure by volume delta V. So how much volume you are increasing, that is correspond to the amount of pressure inside or outside. So the total mechanical work done is given by the relation W equal P into delta V. In one of the class, previous class, we have mentioned that the work done due to expansion is just P into delta V. So we are using the same formula. So W equal P into delta V. So here we had the equation delta E equal Q minus W. So if we put the value of the W, then we can write down P into delta V. From 1 and 2 we can restate delta E equal Q minus P into delta V. Just put down the value of W in here. Isobaric, no, isobar, that means pressure is constant. So pressure is constant, that means the pressure will not change. So if you consider this is a isobaric process, in that case the delta P will be 0. But here we are our system is isothermal, not isobaric for this one. Okay. So from equation 1 and 2 we can restate delta E equal Q minus P into delta V. Just write down the form of W in the previous equation, then we will get delta E equal Q minus P into delta V. Okay. Okay. Some other definition of first law of thermodynamics. We have some different definitions already, some of them already maybe I have mentioned. So other definition of first law of thermodynamics: whenever energy of a particular type disappears, equivalent amount of another type must be produced. That means right now one light bulb is glowing in front of me, so that bulb gives some energy. So we are getting, but if you touch the light, in that case you will feel the light is hot. That means some energy is converted into heat, but though we do not want, however, just we are supplying some electricity to light the bulb, but actually what happens, some energy or some electricity is spending to glow the bulb so that we get light, and some of the energy or electricity is spending to increase the heat of the bulb. So the two form, if you exactly calculate how much energy we are supplying as electricity and what are the energy we are getting as light and as heat, that two forms of the energy will be exactly equal to the how much energy you are supplying by electricity. So whenever energy of a particular type disappears, so after the light, after getting the light, there is no electricity. So if you touch the bulb, then you will not get shock or any other thing, so you cannot do anything out of the light. So there is no electricity, just the electricity is just completely converting to heat and light, or energy, two forms of energy, heat and light. So one form of energy is disappearing and another form of energy exactly equal. So if you give 100 joule as electricity, and then you will get 100 joule, maybe 40 joule as the light and 60 joule as heat, or even a little bit different ratio. However, the total would be exactly equivalent amount. So whenever energy of a particular type disappears, equivalent amount of another type must be produced. Total energy of a system and surroundings remains constant. So we have shown you, this is a system, this is our system, and anything else except the system is considered as surroundings. So the total energy of the system and surrounding remain constant. That means this surrounding is our universe, and system, that means this is our consideration. So if we consider this is the system, so anything except the system is surroundings. So the total energy of the universe, that means the system, total energy of the system and surroundings are same, okay, or always constant. The total energy of a system and surroundings remains constant or conserved. So it is impossible to construct a perpetual motion machine that can produce work without spending energy on it. That means you cannot generate an engine what can work without spending energy. That means you need to supply some energy. Most of the time for any petrol engine, you are supplying some petrol so that it is burning, and then it is getting some energy, then the wheel is rotating. So that is the one form of energy. That means you are giving the mechanical energy, then it is converting into some other form of energy. So for any engine, you cannot create any engine what work without energy, or what work without spending the energy. Or in other words, we can say there is no engine, or you cannot produce 100% efficient engine. That is actually in terms of second law. However, just we can say that you cannot form 100% efficient. That means if you supply some energy, then 100% energy will not convert into work. So that is in one sense we can say. However, that is not exactly what we are telling. The main theme, it is impossible to construct a perpetual motion machine that can produce work without spending energy on it. So if you produce any engine, then you must need to supply some energy. Even during the preparation of electricity, most of the time we are producing electricity from water. What happens? We put a big dump in the river, or just beside the hill, wherever. So the energy of the water is stored as static energy. When the water goes down, that means the water goes to down, that means it gains some it already stored some static energy, then it forms as kinetic energy, then it rotates the turbine. So from there we get some energy. So everywhere you must need to supply some energy to work the engine. Now some special forms of the first law, that means if we put some condition to the first law, then we will get different forms of first law. So the mathematical expression of the first law is delta E equal Q minus W. That means the change in internal energy equal to the energy supplied minus the work done by the system. So if we put some condition, that means if you think for a cyclic process involving isothermal expansion, that means no change in heat, or that means no change in energy. So for a cyclic process involving isothermal expansion of an ideal gas, in that case delta E equals 0. That means if you put delta E equals 0, then the overall equation becomes 0 equal Q minus W or Q equal W. So how much energy you are supplying to the system, that will just spend on the work on to expand the volume. So just if you do not allow to increase the temperature, that means delta E would be 0. So the Q equal W, that means the amount of work is exactly, it will spend the amount of energy what you are supplying will be exactly equal to the amount of work done by the system. Number case 2, for an isochronic process. Isochronic process, that means the no change in volume. So if we consider, now here we do not have that volume part, but here you can consider for the volume, if we have the delta V equal 0, that means P into delta V equal P into 0, that means W equal 0. So for an isochronic system where the change in volume is 0, that means what happens, the W equal 0, because delta V equals 0 and delta V multiplied by P, that means work done due to expansion is 0. So what will happen, the W equals 0, so delta E equal Q. So how much energy you are supplying from the outside, it will increase the internal energy only. So no volume increase. So what will happen, the pressure will increase huge. If the internal, if some energy is supplied from the outside and you do not allow to increase the volume, that means delta V equals 0, in that case the total internal energy will increase. Just keep the volume fixed and the total internal energy will increase. So exactly equal amount, how much energy you are supplying, that energy will increase the internal energy. So for case 3, for an adiabatic process, there is no change in heat gained or lost. So no energy is supplied, that means where no energy is supplied, then delta E equal minus W. So the increase in internal energy or change in internal energy will be minus W. That means what will happen, change in internal energy minus W, that means the volume will change, just the work done by the volume or the minus W. So for an adiabatic process there is no change in heat or heat gained or lost, so the Q equals 0, hence delta E equal minus W. In other words, the decrease in internal energy is exactly equal to the work done on the system. So minus W, what does it mean? W is the work done on the system. So if you decrease the energy, internal energy, what will happen? Decrease the internal energy, so the volume will also decrease. So the work will be done on the system. When the volume is increasing, so in that case the work will done by the system. So that will give you the delta E, W equal minus. So here delta E equal minus W. For an adiabatic process there is no change in heat or heat gained or lost, so Q equals 0. In this equation if you put Q equals 0, then delta E equal minus W, here delta E equal minus W. And the last step or last case for an isobaric process. Now if we consider the process is isobaric, someone has question that if the system is isobaric, that means there is no change in pressure. What will happen? For an isobaric process there is no change in pressure or P remains constant, hence delta E equal Q minus W or delta E equal Q minus P delta V. So just whatever our the form was, W in previous form, this form, just delta E equal Q minus P into delta V. So actually if there is no change in pressure, in that case just we will fix the pressure, so P into delta V, the change in internal energy will be delta E equal Q minus P into delta V. Now we will see some mathematical problems that are already given in your book, but I am going to show you if you have any problem on this. So let us solve together. Find delta E. All the problems today what I will show you is directly related to the first law of thermodynamics. So if you know the formula for first law of thermodynamics, delta E equal Q minus W, or in terms of W sometime you can write down P into delta V, and sometime you may need to remember that the work done due to expansion or volume expansion, that work we have learned about the W equal minus nRT ln P1 by P2, or in another form V2 by V1 or something like this. That was the formula what we have learned from the previous lectures. So if we need to use, just remember two formula, W delta E equal Q minus W, and that is from previous one, and or another form Q minus W. So if you can replace the W as P into delta V. So what is the question or what is the problem here? You need to find out the delta E, Q and W. So you need to find three different quantities. If 2 moles of hydrogen at 3 atmosphere pressure, so number of moles has been given, number of moles of hydrogen gas at 3 atmosphere pressure expand isothermally. That means the process is isothermal, no change in temperature. So the isothermally, that means the at 50 degrees Celsius and reversibly to a pressure of 1 atmosphere. So what happened? This is our initial pressure and this is our final pressure, and this is the temperature at which the system is working, and total number of moles is 2 moles. So what happens? Here the volume is expanding because initially the system or the cylinder has very high pressure, and now the pressure has been decreased, therefore volume has been increased. So and another thing mentioned, the reversibly, isothermal reversible. So in one of the last classes I have taught you about the work done due to the isothermal reversible process, isothermal reversible expansion. of an ideal gas. Actually, hydrogen gas may not be considered as ideal gas, however, we will use, because we know the system temperature conditions whatever we have, so we will use the same formula of isothermal reversible expansion of an ideal gas. So the work done for the isothermal reversible expansion of an ideal gas, we will use that formula also. So what is our initial pressure? P1 equal 3, P2 equal 1, number of moles 2. So just find out whatever the properties we may need. So this is the temperature 50 degrees Celsius, maybe we can convert into Kelvin. And then what are the things? Yes, 50 degrees Celsius, that will give you 323 Kelvin, and 2 moles, this is 2 mole, and the value of R, that means molar gas constant. Molar gas constant is 1.987 and 2.3, or you can write down either this equation or this equation. So both are same, just this is ln or this is log. So if you want to convert ln to log, you need to multiply with 2.303 and then the log term. So that will be exactly similar, either this equation or this equation. So how much work done? W equal minus nRT into ln P1 by P2. So we write down, or this equation, minus 2.2 into 1.987 into 323 and 2.303, and then log P1 is 3 and P2 is 1. So 3 by 1, so 3. So you are getting 1410 calorie, and since Q equal W, that means isothermal process. So isothermal process, what happens? For the isothermal process, what we have mentioned, for an adiabatic, so where is isochloric cyclic process involving isothermal expansion. So for the isothermal process, delta E equal 0, that means Q equal W. So what you will get? So Q equal W. So how much energy we have done as a, or we have found as work, is exactly equal to the Q. So that is the energy, or what energy has been supplied. So this is the problem, find out delta E, Q, W. So delta E, whatever, this is delta E, Q and W equal, therefore delta E would be 0. So for a reversible process, we find that Q equal W, isothermal reversible process. So Q equal 1410 kilojoule calorie. Now problem 2, 1 gram of water. 1 gram of water at 373 Kelvin is converted into steam at the same temperature. At the same temperature, 1 gram of water. So first of all, you have to think about 1 gram of water. So you know the formula in terms of number of moles, is it? So in terms of number of moles, so if you consider 1 gram of water, you can use the number of moles. How you can calculate? By dividing with the molecular weight. So you know the molecular weight of water. So molecular weight of water, that means number of moles equal 1 gram divided by 18. So number of moles, then 1 gram of water at 373 Kelvin is converted into steam. So this is actually 100 degrees Celsius, that means the temperature at which the water converts into vapor. So converted into steam at the same temperature, the volume of water becomes 1671 milliliter. That means 1 gram. Now that is the question. Now the volume is expanding to 1671 milliliter. So 1 gram of water, that means liquid water and water vapor or steam. So this is the liquid water. Then what is the volume? It is not mentioned in the question. Anyone, you have the idea how much the volume will be?
1 cm cube.
Exactly, 1 cm cube or 1 milliliter. because 1 gram of water contains 1 milliliter and 1000 gram equivalents to 1 liter or 1000 milliliter. So, we should have the volume just 1 gram of water should be 1 milliliter. So, now we have the final volume. So, initial volume 1 milliliter, final volume is 1671 milliliter on boiling. Calculate the change in the internal energy of the system if the heat of vaporization is 540 calorie per gram. The heat of vaporization is given. So, as the vaporization takes place against a constant pressure of 1 atmosphere, work done for an irreversible process W is P into delta V. P into delta V. So, what is the delta V? So, delta V, P into delta V, we can write down directly in another form, nRT. P into delta V, just P into, we can write down P nRT. So, number of moles multiplied by R, molar gas constant 1.987 and into 373. So, this is the work done. So, how much? Just you are getting 41 calorie per gram. Now, you have given the energy, the heat of vaporization, just the heat of vaporization 540. So, now Q equal 500 calorie per gram. Since you know the formula delta E equal Q minus W. So, what will be the delta E? Just 540 minus 41, 499 calorie per gram. That is very simple. Just you need to think what is the problem and what you need to do. Just you are familiar with the formula and just you need to use what formula should be useful for me. So, just use that, you will get the result. And I have skipped one problem because maybe I cannot complete all of them. So, just you have your book, that is the solved problem in your book. So, you can find out easily. Sorry. Calculate the maximum work done when pressure on 10 gram of hydrogen is reduced from 20 to 1 atmosphere. Don't get confused, this is 20 and here 1, it should be just mathematical 1. So, 20 to 1 atmosphere at a constant temperature of 273 Kelvin, the gas behaves ideally. Will there be any change in internal energy? Also calculate Q. Okay, we have given some information. So, calculate the maximum work done when pressure on 10 gram of hydrogen. So, 10 gram of hydrogen, that means how many moles? Just we know the molecular weight of hydrogen is 2 gram. 2 gram, that means H2 molecule. So, H2 2 gram, therefore number of moles of hydrogen is 5 moles.
5.
Yes, here you can get the 5 moles and temperature is given 273 Kelvin, P1 pressure 20 atmosphere, final pressure 1 atmosphere, 20 atmosphere and 1 atmosphere. And then work done due to expansion. Due to expansion, that means initial pressure was 20 and now final pressure 1 atmosphere. So, the work done due to expansion of an ideal gas W equal 2.303 nRT log P1 by P2 or we could have the volume form, but we do not have the volume. So, we should use the pressure form. So, 5 moles number, just put the values what we have in this equation 2.303 and N equal 5 moles, R equal 1.987 and temp 2.303 and P1 20 and P2 1. So, just this is the result, that means how much work is done. Since there is no change in temperature, that means isothermal process, you have mentioned that at constant temperature, that is mentioned constant temperature. So, the process is isothermal. So, there is no change in temperature. So, delta E would be 0. Hence, Q equal delta E plus W or delta E equal Q minus W. Just rewrite the form whatever you need. Just then Q equal delta E plus W, that means delta E we have 0. So what will happen? W, okay, one thing I should mention here, that should be my minus sign, or not here, because due to reversible expansion, the work done we have a minus sign, minus 2.303, here I have given but not here, so that is mistake. And so the work done W equal minus 2.303 nRT log P1 by P2. So this is our form. So you are getting the Q equal exactly the same value, because delta equals 0. So Q will be exactly the amount of work done. So minus 10, that will be minus 812.665 calorie. So you can write down in kilocalorie, that is also fine, or even if you want to convert into joule, that is also okay. Now we will learn just two different simple topics. A specific heat capacity. You are familiar with the word a specific heat capacity. That means the amount of work, the amount of energy or heat. So if you have a 1 kilogram of water, if you have 1 kilogram of water, then you have certain amount of heat, or you know the temperature of the water. So if you supply some heat to the water, then it will increase the internal energy, at the same time it may increase the temperature. So if you want to increase the temperature of a certain substance, if you do not know the amount of mass, and in that case you do not know the specific heat capacity, you may know the heat capacity, that means how much energy or how much heat is required to raise the temperature by 1 Kelvin or 1 degree Celsius. So if we consider for a unit mass, or 1 kg, if you consider that you want to increase the temperature of 1 kg of a substance by 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin, the amount of heat required is known as a specific heat capacity. Just the amount of heat changed, I would say it changed, because sometimes if you want to decrease the temperature, if the amount of heat or energy change due to change the temperature by 1 Kelvin of 1 kg of substance. That means 1 kg of substance, if you want to increase the temperature by 1 Kelvin, or if you decrease the temperature, then you may need to take out. So the change in energy or heat to change the temperature by 1 degree Kelvin of 1 kg of substance is known as a specific heat capacity, that is fixed for a substance at certain temperature. It can change at different temperature, however for a certain temperature the specific heat capacity of a substance is always fixed. So if Q calories is the heat absorbed by mass m, that means you have taken very bigger substance or very smaller substance, but not the unit mass. So if you have a substance and you have given some energy that raised the temperature delta T, or initial temperature of T was T1 and final was T2. So if you have raised the temperature by delta T, in that case the specific heat capacity will be the amount of heat supplied Q divided by m into delta theta, or T2 minus T1. That means, so overall what we are going to say, that means the change in energy or required, or the change in heat to change the temperature of a substance by 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin of a unit mass, that is known as a specific heat capacity. Now if we consider the mass is for 1 mole, that means if you consider for hydrogen gas it will be 2 gram, if you consider water that will be 18 gram, or if you consider some other substances That means how much the 1 mole. If you consider the mass is 1 mole, in that case just change the volume, mass from unity, change with the only 1 mole. So that will define the molar heat capacity. That means to change the temperature of 1 mole of substance by 1 Kelvin is known as molar heat capacity. That is even simpler. So first of all, if you can understand the heat capacity or a specific heat capacity, then easily you can understand. If you change the mass of the substance by 1 mole, then you will get the molar heat capacity. That means the change in internal energy, change in heat or energy to change the temperature by 1 Kelvin of 1 mole of substance is known as molar heat capacity. So molar heat capacity, just you are changing the mass here 1 mole. So C equal Q by delta T. So if you raise the temperature by 10 Kelvin or whatever, so just what will be for 1 Kelvin, you should divide by the value of the delta T. So the molar heat capacity of a system is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of the substance by 1 Kelvin. Since the heat capacity varies with temperature, so it will vary at different temperature. As I have mentioned that for a certain temperature it will be fixed, but if you change the temperature, maybe the heat capacity at 20 degrees Celsius will be different from the heat capacity at 50 degrees Celsius. So it will be same at a certain temperature, but it will change with the with temperature. That means at different temperature it will get different value. Thus the molar capacity, heat capacity may be defined as the ratio of the amount of heat absorbed to the rise in the temperature. So this is the heat divided by the change in temperature. So how much heat changed at changing the how much temperature, that is the molar heat capacity of any substance. And this is the end of today's class. If you have any question or comment, you are welcome to ask.